Hello everyone, and welcome to today's presentation about the new features in Beast 11.14, which released at the end of July 2019. So in this demo, I will both talk about what we have added in this version, and I will also go over to the Beast software and show you where those new features are located within the software. And we'll actually talk about several new things in version 11.14. One of them is that one of them is that now to download elevation data for air map, you have to download that in ArcGrid format, not in LED format like you did before. The other is that we've now changed the way that we you can delete sources and receptors within Beast. You can now draw a polygon to do so. We'll also change the way that we draw polygons in general, and I'll show that to you in this presentation. Next, you can now add tiers while you're drawing the corners for an existing tier of a building. Okay. And then there are three other changes. We now have some new options when creating a building with a slope roof. We check for errors in output options in Beast, and finally we changed the way that we export output considerations from an output file to Excel. So now we'll go ahead and go through these 7 items, and we'll show you what has changed for each one of them. Now, the first item that's new in Beast 11.14 is how you download elevation data for AirMap. Previously you would download those files in a GeoTIFF format, but files in that format are no longer available from the USGS website. So what you have to do now is download the files in ArcGrid format and convert them to the GeoTIFF files that you can use with AirMap. And there's also a new website where you would go to download these files, which is this national map viewer. Now, actually, for the conversion step, we've added a new program to Beast called the Terrain Files Converter. To use this program, you click the Run menu in Beast and click Convert ArcGrid. So let's go ahead and go through an example. So we start with our usual test case file. And I click on Run and convert ArcGrid to open our new tool. So we need to download some data, and then we need to run this program to convert it to the TIFF format. And also, I should mention that the user manual that comes with the new tool, it has the complete set of steps that we need to download and convert the data. So first, let's go ahead and just go to the new download website. And here that displays the map of the United States. And you can zoom in here to go to the area which you need. In our case, an area in North Carolina. once we have found our area, we'll click the button to draw a rectangle for the area for which we need elevation data, which is this blue rectangle right here. After that, I select the elevation files on the left side. I'm going to select the 1 arcsecond DEM files and say find products. So this website will then find the files I need with the elevation data, and then it will click download to actually get the files, which I've already done. Now this is the file, and once you unzip it, there will be a folder for you to select in our tool. And so go to that folder, select it, and also select an output file. Now at this point, information that the files that you actually get in the USGS, the National Map Bureau website, those actually contain data for a 1 degree of latitude by 1 degree of longitude square, which is much more data than what we need in our Beast model run. So what I will do next is go to options and tell this program to only extract data that we need for our Beast model run. Now to know how much data you can say show terrain limits in Beast and zoom out. I'm going to see these blue lines with the latitudes and longitudes displayed on the screen. And you can enter those same values into the program to just get the data for this blue square in the center that we actually need. So let's see, it's 36.65, 35.5. And also the longitudes are negative in the United States and in the Western Hemisphere in general. Okay. And now when I say run, that will create a GIF file that I can now enter into AirMap. So now if I say run AirMap, go to this folder, and now I have my new TIF file that I can use in AirMap. And again, the full steps for this process are in the user manual for our terrain files converter program. Okay, so that was a terrain file conversion process, which again has changed because of the change in the website from which you download the data, and also, as well as the format. Now the next new feature in Beast 11.14 is how you can delete sources and receptors within your model. In previous versions, you could draw a rectangle and then select the receptors or sources to delete inside it. Now you can draw a polygon as well, and then select source receptors or other objects to delete. And you can do multiple objects within the same time as well. So again, going back to our Beast file, when I click this button to view the current data graphically, which is the inputs, there is now a new button on the toolbar on the left side. So you have this draw rectangle to delete button as you had before. Now you also have a new button to draw a polygon. So I'm going to go ahead and click that button. and draw a multi-sided polygon. Okay, and now get a new prompt, which asks, what would I like to delete? And you see on the right side here, the receptors to delete are also highlighted. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and say just delete the receptors, and the ones within the polygon will be deleted now. Now I can do the same thing and draw a polygon in a different part of the model. And then say that I also want to delete my fence line, that I also want to delete my building as well. When I do that and click OK, the building will be removed as well. Now actually, if I go back to the draw rectangle, this has been updated. This has been updated to give you the same selections as well. Includes source receptors and anything else that's inside the rectangle. Okay, now as part of that demonstration, you saw that I was drawing a polygon. We now have a new way to finish drawing a polygon. When we said we close the figure, we need to draw the left side of the polygon and finish drawing it. So what I can now do is instead of drawing that last line segment, I can right click on the screen and say end closed, and it'll draw the polygon for me. Or I can also press the enter key. This also works for drawing buildings and area polygon sources. Let's go ahead and do that again. So I'm going to draw a polygon to delete receptors. But now instead of drawing that last line, I'm going to right click and say end closed. That will draw that last line and give me those selections for deletion. This works similarly if I want to draw a new fence line or building. I can draw a fence line, and then for the last line segment again, I just say end closed, and it'll draw that for me. And if you press the enter or escape key, that will also close the figure. All right, the next enhancement in Beast 11.14 is how we draw buildings on the screen. So there's an option within Beast to edit the corners that you've previously drawn on the screen. When you do that, you can select the tier of multi-tier building at the bottom. What you can do now is also add a new tier without having to leave that same screen, have to go back to the building definition. So now while you're drawing the building, you can also insert tiers and add tiers as well. So in this case, we are going to start with our building. And okay, actually, before we continue, there was a question in the chat window. A couple of questions. Actually, there were a couple of questions. One was, can you use CalCom to figure out the size of your domain? Yes. We go back to CalCom. Yes, you can still use this to figure out the size that you need. Once you got the National Map Viewer, so we still do this. Once you have that National Map Viewer website, there's not a way to enter those corners though. You'd have to select a rectangle as I showed you. So you can't really enter those corners that you have here into the National Map Viewer website. You have to draw the rectangle. The other question was when we draw a polygon to delete things inside it, is there a way to paste the corners that you want? And the answer is no. For now, when you use this draw polygon, you actually do have to draw the polygon yourself. You can't just paste some corners from Excel into it. You actually have to draw it. You actually have to draw the polygon yourself for now. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. Okay, so we start the building, and I right click and I say Edit Building Corners and Tiers. And now I can move corners around, or now I can move corners, or I can delete them. And when I press Enter, the new corners will be in place. But what you can also see at the bottom of the screen is Tier 1. That says that this building has one tier. For multi-tier building, you could select the tiers. Now, what's new in Beast 11.14 is that now you can click Add Tier and just go ahead and start drawing the second tier right then and there. Okay, now we have two tiers. I'm going to go ahead and enter its height. Let's say 15 meters. Now so now we have two tiers. Now when I go back to see the same one again, I can select tiers, tier 1 or tier 2, which will display them on the screen. Now now there's also a new entry here, which is Insert Tier. So I can insert tier between these two, or edit tier that's above the second one. And previously, these new items to insert tier and add tier, they were not in previous versions of Beast, but they are in this Beast 11.14. Okay. Okay. Our next enhancement is in how we create a building with a sloped roof. So this is when you start with a single tier rectangular building, and then Beast will calculate additional tiers to create a sloped roof for it. Well, now we have three options in Beast 11.14 for how to calculate the heights of those new tiers. And for this example, I'm going to draw a new building that's just a rectangular building, and then we'll see what those three options are. All right, so what I can do now with this building is right-click on it and say, Create a sloped roof. And let's say we start with a 10 meter high building. We want the the roof to be 20 meters high and have 5 tiers. So what we have now that we didn't have before is now we have 3 options on the left side. And you can click on each one of them, and there will be a picture on the right side that will show you what Beast will do. So option 1 is, so the black one right here on the left side represents your current height of the building, 10 meters. The one on the upper right is the new peak roof height, which is the 20 meters in our example. So the option 1, Beast will start and create a new tier that's a little higher than your existing building. That will create additional tiers going up to your new height. Option 2 is, the first tier will be as high as your current building, and it will go up and create additional tiers, any a little lower than the new height. Then option 3 combines the two, and Beast will start at the current building height. We'll create additional tiers going up to the new height. So let's go ahead and select method 2, which is we start with the current building height and then add new tiers. So I'll go ahead and do that and say create my tiers. And if I show the building in 3D view, you'll see that it is now added. Now we have 5 tiers in our building to represent a slope roof. Typically, we probably want more tiers in that 8 or 10. In your case, so I'm going to go ahead and say save. So Beast will save my new multi-tier building. And now if I look at it, we will see the height that Beast has calculated. So we start with 10 meters, which is our original height, and then we go 12, 14, 16, and 18. So with this method 2 that we selected, those are the calculated heights for each tier. So if we go back and if we were to go back and select one of the other options, then it would calculate the tier heights a little differently. All right, next is a change in the output options in Beast. And one of our customers noticed that if you have the same height value selected individually and as part of a range of values, then the AirMod model actually doesn't like that and treats that as an error, and it will not run. So now to fix that, in Beest 11.14, we check the high values that you've selected and that you've entered in the range to make sure that there are no duplicates there. And if there are, we display an error message if a high value is selected twice. Let's go ahead and try that. So I'm going to go to output options, where my high value is selected. So I'm going to go and enter a range from 8 to 50. And I'm also going to go ahead and select the 8th high and the 9th high. Actually, no. I'm going to go ahead and select the 8th high as well. And when I do this, you see Beast displays a new error message to us saying that that's not allowed. Okay, so the 9th high as well, it'll display the same error message. Now, if I go ahead and ignore the error messages here and try to run AirMod, Beast won't allow us to do that. So let's say I say run my model, and as you see, Beast will display an error message to us here as well in the input file diagnostics, and will not allow us to run the model because that is an error. And we'll just say duplicate high value in SO2, 3-hour average. So that actually tells us where to look to fix the error. It's the SO2 3-hour. And if we go back and deselect those high values, then we will be able to go ahead and run our mod. Okay, and the final enhancement that we've added in the Beest 11.14 is in displaying the output files and specifically how we write data from an output file to Excel. I'm going to go ahead and select an output file. Okay, let's see. Okay, so what we've done now is that previously the values in the output file would be the ones that you would export to Excel. But actually the values that you display when you're looking at the output file was going to be affected by the background value you've added, threshold value, and also the number of digits displayed. And what Beest 11.14 allows you to do is export the values that are displayed on the screen to Excel instead of exactly what's in the output file. Okay, so now we have our output values in this example output file. And let's say that I want to display 3 decimal digits, and I also want to add a background value of 50. 50. So now I have values 372 in this example instead of 322. And I also want to hide the values that are below 80 micrograms, for example. That will leave just a few values displayed on the screen. All right, so now when we click the Excel button on the toolbar here, now we get 2 options. Values from GR file or the ones displayed. If we click the first option, we'll just export all the values that we had before, and we've had about 830 receptors in this case, so we'll export all of them and the original values. Now if we say export values as displayed, it'll be a little different. First of all, it only exports the values that are not hidden, which is the 120 or so values on our screen. You also see that the concentration always has 3 decimal points, and also our highest value will now be about 372, which is also the highest value displayed on the screen. So now with this new option, what's going to be exported in the Excel file will correspond to what you see on the screen in the outputs. All right, so those are the new features in Beast 11.14. We will now go ahead and take questions from the audience.